This is a story about trust, determination, and a dream for freedom. It shows that people united and working together can make a huge difference. Before I continue on my tale, I shall first introduce myself. I do not have a given name because I, along with every other willow tree, began my life known simply as Willow. It has always been like this throughout the history of trees. One acquires a name for himself based on his life story, what signifies him as unique from the others in his family. Late into my life, when I was a wise adult, I obtained the name the Wise Willow because of the suffering people who sought comfort beneath my brows. I heard talk of mistreated slaves, men owned by other men for some time. These slaves had been bought for a low price or stolen away from their villages, families, and life. Most of them never saw any of their old life and those who filled it ever again. These people, who were no different to the people that owned them, were unjustly robbed of their freedom. They were also subjected to extremely harsh labor and poor living conditions. They had no say in their lives and were constantly surrounded by prejudice and violent beatings. They did, however, still have one thing: their voices. They used their voices to comfort one another, to share their sorrowful stories, and reassure themselves that there was something to live for, to dream about. Many of their songs were filled with the ideal futures about freedom and equality. However, all of their songs were sung with such sadness in the melody that any listening creature could not bear to listen without feeling utterly empathetic towards the neglected humans. The wind often carried these heart-wrenching symphonies past my ear when the forest was most quiet, when the sky filled with colors and nighttime creatures had gone to sleep and the daytime creatures had yet to awake. Each time I was pierced with both tears and the overwhelming fact that I could do nothing in that moment to help those unfortunate souls, rooted, as I was, to the depths of the earth. Eventually, the men who saw the injustice and wished to be friends of the slaves created what they called an underground railroad. They used hidden paths, animal trails, much like the one that ran a few yards in front of my trunk, to transport the slaves to heaven, or British North America, from the United States. This country they called heaven had similar issues for years earlier, in 1833, but the majority of people had realized the unfairness of slavery and banned it. I guess some people are just more aware than others, and notice that they were all the same species of beings and should get along. This underground railroad proved to be very effective. There were many safe houses scattered across the land for the slaves to stay in until it became safe to travel again, without a white man seeking slaves nearby. Many slept under my branches, leaning against my trunk while using my leaves as a veil to hide them from the vulnerability of the open path. I was pleased to be helping them after hearing their helpless cries from afar for so long. These escapes were successful most times, but always had large consequences looming above the journey. They were so desperate that they would make these desperate, and very dangerous journeys just to gain their freedom. The Underground Railroads were in effect from about 1840 to mid-1860s until America outlawed slavery in 1865. By that time, over 30,000 black slaves had been smuggled out of America. You may have asked yourself at some point how a tree could know so much about the world of humans, but I've learned that patience and being open to listening is all it takes to gain knowledge. However, being a friend to all is a great help as well.